This is my mainly knitting podcast, but actually a podcast about pretty much all the crafty bits I do in my life, which is mainly knitting, but I do some sewing, I do some weaving, and lately I have been diving my toes a little bit into, no, dipping my toes a little bit into spinning. But yeah, it's been a while, it is what it is. I do this when I have the time. So we have a lot to talk about today. Last time I recorded was a few weeks before I went to Stockholm for the Sy- och Hantverksfestivalen. I had a great time there. It was so lovely to meet so many of you. And I have some wool fiber in one of my eyes today. So bear with me, please. I have also a new... Oh my god, this is so annoying. I have a new setup for where I'm recording. I have actually turned the camera around, so I have connected it to my husband's computer because with the latest Apple update you could like connect the phone directly into the computer, record, and I can do the editing there and not fill my whole phone up space-wise, because that has been some tricky bits to have long episodes because they can't find the space on my phone. So yes, I have written some notes like I usually do. I have quite a lot of finished objects. A few of them I don't have here, so I am gonna pep in some pictures here, or yeah, anywhere on the screen where they can fit. But my first finished object is Picnic on the Path hat. That is pattern from Fortune, Patricia. That was an amazing project. I really loved it. I don't have it here because it's actually sitting at my place at work, because I have used that scarf so much, just wrapping it around me at work when we had quite a chilly time these past few weeks. So I just wrapped that scarf all around me, and usually I have a sweater or a vest also, so I keep really warm and toasty. That one is knitted in Rauma Finull. So yeah, favorite yarn, great pattern, super fun and easy knit. Highly recommend. Really want to make one of her other scarves, so that might be something I dive into later this spring. Another finished object that I don't have here is the tiny Anker dress, or Anker kjole by Petitknit. I knitted that one in Knitting for Olive Merino, the thin one, and that was for my little niece Alice. She got that one late November, and so she could wear it for Christmas and the festive season that we have celebrated here in Sweden the last couple of days. So that is also a finished object, and she is so super cute in that one, so really happy about that one. The last finished object that I don't have here is actually a pair of mittens. I knitted a pair of mittens for my husband. He didn't get it as a Christmas present or anything like that. It was just like I wanted to knit the mittens, he wanted a new pair of mitts, so I made the one-day selbumittens. I will write it down who made the pattern. I don't remember that right now. Super easy pattern. I think I knitted them on a 6mm needle, and I knitted them in Rauma Vams. The really thick and fluffy yarn. I love it. I loved how the mittens turned out, so I kind of want to knit a pair for myself, but I'm not in the mitten kind of mood right now. But yeah, when that mood hits, I think I will do those mittens for me. So that is all I have knitted and don't have here with me. So now I'm just gonna continue with the finished objects that I actually have here. The first one I want to show you is Västen Torv. Just excuse me a little bit, I'm gonna check if this still is recording. Yes, it is. This is so unusual for me to have this kind of setup. So if I look down there a couple of times today, that is just the way it has to be, because yeah. This is another finished object. This is Västen Torv. I mean, look at that structure. That is beautiful. This is a pattern by Erika Åberg from her latest book, Stickat från kust till kust. I knew that I wanted to make this vest from the first time I saw it on Erika's Instagram. So when I got the book, this was just something I dived into straight away. This is the pattern. I have used quite similar colors. Instead of one of the pink contrast colors, I have used some browns. And I have kind of stuck to the patterns, or not at all actually, but I started from the bottom up, just like the pattern says. So I did cast on for the number of stitches that I should cast on for my size, knitted up to their armholes, and then I decided to not knit front and back and do all the shaping flat. I put up some steek stitches in between here, and then I decreased a little bit, and then I just knitted straight up here. I knitted straight up here. I did sew with Kitchener stitch the shoulders together, and then I picked up the stitches I had here. I drew a line with some yarn in a contrasting color, and then I just cut the fabric off here. So I did shape my neckline with a steek instead of knitting back and forth, and then I just did a folded neckband, so there is no steek stitching visible here because I hid them in the folded neckband. I didn't do the folded ribbing for like oh my god, my head right now, the armholes or like the sleeve, yeah, where my arms go out. Excuse me, today my head is a little bit all over the place, but I did sew with sew machine. I did cut them up, and then I knitted the ribbing, and then I was just planning to like leave these stitches raw and let them felt in with wear, but I didn't like the way it looked when I had it on me. It was a little bit bulky, so I did actually just, I don't know if you can see that, I just took the edges of the stitch and threw it in my overlocker. I have an overlocker when I finish my edges when I do my sewing, so I just did that with some black thread, and I think that turned out really good. The stitches are so small right now, so it doesn't bother me, and yeah, I have worn this once. I hope to get some more wear out of it later on. One thing that I regret a little bit with this one is this is the back, and here I picked up the stitches, and that just it just turned out like the stitches, if I picked up a straight line, I had a whole column of this pattern here, but on the front I just followed that, and I mean it's straight. It doesn't bother me because it's like wonky or anything, but I have this teeny tiny bit of the pattern here, these strips, and it's even, it's on the both sides, so it shouldn't bother me that much, but it bothers me a little bit that I should have picked up like a couple of stitches further in, so I had got like that. I know this isn't a big deal. I know I'm kind of picky with these kind of stuff, so I am gonna learn to live with that and embrace it and feel like that shouldn't bother me, but it does a little bit. But yeah, I'm not gonna whine about it. It's just so stupid to lay all my energy on those small things. Yes, what have I knitted more than that one? Should we talk about my Primrose just one last time? Because I love it so much. Last time I'm sorry, I'm just gonna have to check so this is still recording. Yes, it is. Good. Last time we spoke, I had not much left for my Primrose, and I did finish it before I went to Stockholm, and I got to wear it there, and I love it so much. I am so happy about how this turned out. I have a video on Instagram where I talk about how I modified this pattern to be knitted in the round and top down. It is knitted in the round in pattern, but it's knitted bottom up. I don't like that. I knitted mine top down and it worked great. I explained that in my video on Instagram, so go check that out if you want to. But the Primrose is a pattern by Wallin. This year has been a little bit of Wallin project for me. Yeah. A little bit of a Wallin year for me. I have knitted 2 of her sweaters, 1 accessory, and I love it. I love the patterns, I love the details, and I have a couple else's in mind for the future, so yeah. This is the Primrose by Wallin. It's the one on the cover. It's from her book Gentle, and I bought a knitting kit, so I used all the original colors from her, so it's knitted in her British breeds. I bought my knitting kit at 60 Garn Nord here in Sweden, and it turned out great. I actually ordered the knitting kit in a size large, and I knitted the size medium, I think. So I have a lot of yarn left, like some of the colors I have a whole bowl, and that was intended because I want to use them to knit some other stuff from this book and from one of her other books, small accessories, and maybe use them as small details in some of her other sweaters. So that turned out great. But yeah, this is my Primrose. It fits great. I can pop in a little movie here about me wearing it. I took some footage of that when it was done. This is so much color. For me, actually, this is not something I choose otherwise. I am much more of a grey, black, beige kind of girl. But yeah, this is amazing. I love all the colors because they are so heathered and beautiful, and this is a piece that I'm actually really proud of. So yeah, I hope to get some use out of it soon. Haven't used it a ton yet because I'm kind of scared of using it in my everyday life. I don't want to ruin it. So I wore it in Stockholm. I've worn it once more after that, but yeah, I'm gonna save it for some special occasions, but I'm just gonna enjoy this very nice piece of color work to watch and enjoy for a very long time, I hope. So that is my Primrose by Wallin. That was almost done last time we talked, but now it's completely done and that feels amazing. Another thing I have knitted that actually just flew off my needles is this cardigan. I will show the pattern to you actually. Oh, yeah, that just has to get picked up later. I won't do that now. This is a pattern from Maja Karlsson's latest book, Koftor. I knew straight away when I got this book that this was the first thing I wanted to knit, and actually a lot of it was because I wanted to wear it for Christmas. Let's just see. Yes, this is it. This is the Bergslagsjul. I love this one. I knew I wanted to do some modifications. If you look at the pictures of the cardigan from the book, there is quite an oversized sleeve, a really short sleeve actually, and a little bit of bulk like here. And I don't mind that in other sweaters, but I just wanted this one to be a little bit more fitted. So I made mine in a yarn that is a little bit thinner. So this is Isaiah Jensen yarns for the main color, and the contrasting color is Twinny, I think, held double. But this is my Bergslagsjul. I think I will show it like that because I hadn't buttoned it up. I am really happy with it. I modified it to be knitted from the top down instead of bottom up. I did my usual like raglan increases, and then I did a more fitted sleeve. It's still not a full length sleeve, but it's going down a little bit further down than the one in the pattern. So this is it. I did stick stitches and then I cut it open. For this one I just used a lace ribbon to hide my sticks, and I put these kind of coconut buttons on, and I am happy with this one. It's not one of my absolute favorite knits, and there is something I might should have done differently. I am not that comfortable with a short sleeve. Even though I made it longer than the pattern was, maybe I should have made like a full length sleeve. I still have some yarn left, so one of the things I could do is just rip the ribbing off and just knit a full length sleeve. But I don't know, actually, this will not get a ton of use like other times of the year than Christmas, because red, like this red, is not quite the color I choose. If I'm gonna wear red, I want it to be like a coppery red or a more, I don't know what happened with it, the recording there. I think it paused itself. Yeah, I don't know where it cut off me talking about this one, but I really like it. I like the pattern. We'll wear it mostly for Christmas. I don't mind anyone else wearing red any time of the year. I mean, it's not a rule, but for me it feels a lot like Christmas to wear this kind of Christmassy red. But hey, it's okay to have a cardigan with like the purpose is for being a Christmas cardigan. I really like it, and when I see it on the screen here, now I'm looking down at the computer because that is where I see what you see, but when I look at this like this, I actually really like it, so I should use it more. A couple more weeks actually. Yeah, I like it, but it feels like a Christmas cardigan to me. Yes, I think we are doing quite okay with the time actually. I am trying to like not talk too much about everything all the time. Another thing that is done and that I'm so happy with, I love this one so much. We got the flu, the whole family, like literally the whole family was knocked out for about 1.5 weeks with really high fever, and the first couple of days I didn't manage to knit actually, but when I started to feel like I can sit up, I can breathe kind of normally, I casted on this cardigan. This is a cardigan by my dear friend Anna. and this is the Rota cardigan. She made this pattern, and this is knitted in my favorite yarn, Rauma Finull, in this beautiful golden color, and I love all Rauma's colors that is dyed on the grey wool. And I made this one. This is knitted on 3mm needles, and this just flew off my needles. This was all I needed that time. It was just endless rows of stockinette stitch, and just knitting around and around and around. In the pattern is written to be knitted like back and forth. I didn't feel like doing that when I was sick. I just wanted to knit, so I did add a couple of stick stitches, and for this one I felt like the stick was so like invisible anyway, so I just did a crocheted stick. So this is the stick stitches on this side. Maybe I should like tuck it down and like sew it into the cardigan, but actually I don't mind it. I think it fits great on my body, and this doesn't bother me, it doesn't bulk or anything, so I think I will just keep it as it is. I knitted this one and I have used it so much since then. This is all I want in a cardigan actually. It's thin wool and it's a beautiful dusty grayish color. It's cropped, it's fitted, and the pattern is amazing. I can not recommend this enough, but yeah, just I want to knit it in every color. This is such a staple in my wardrobe, and if last year was the year when I was knitting like a lot of color work, a lot of complicated things, this year I still want to do that, but I want to maybe let even these things take time, because it's tiny needles. I can just knit and enjoy it, but it doesn't have to be like very textured or very complicated, but it can be small needles, so it can still take time. Yeah, super happy. I am definitely gonna cast on some more of these this year. This was the perfect knitting. I mean, travel knitting, everything you can dream about if you just want a simple project that fits you really good. I am so happy about this one. Okay, I get a little bit worried now when the camera turned off itself before. So I just have to like check this all the time, I feel. Yes, the last thing that is a finished object. Bear in mind that this is a couple of months that has passed since I recorded. So the primrose was almost done, and my vest was almost done then too. So yes, it's a lot of knitting, but yeah, you know. Yeah, this is my first attempt of designing my own sweater. I don't want to confuse anyone about this, because this is not going to be a pattern that I will release. I am not going to be a knitwear designer. That is not something, I mean, that would be amazing, but I have not the knowledge about it. I don't think I would ever have I think I would have a hard time wanting to satisfy everyone. I know you can't do that, but I would be so worried giving out my patterns to someone else and them not liking it, or if there is not enough sizes. That's just something I would be very worried about. So, but one of my like goals for the year that has been like 2022 was actually to think more self, do the things I love, and just try to work without a pattern. I inspire people so much that do that. Kia from Kia's Boat is one of them that inspires me so much. She is such a good knitter at just looking at a yarn and knowing exactly what you want with it, or doing what she can with what she has. That is so amazing to me. I am quite a planning person, so I like to plan stuff even though I want to be spontaneous and do my own thing. But the first idea I had for this sweater, I knew I wanted a sweater with like this button placket here, and so I can open it up and not be too warm, but I still can close it and have it like a normal sweater. So this is my first sketches. I was thinking about a deep raglan, I was thinking about balloon sleeves, maybe a saddle shoulder. So I did try a lot of different things. I tried with lättloopy, I tried in svensk ull from Järbo, and then I just was, no, this is not what I want. It was too bulky, it didn't drape as I wanted to, so I finally cast on. So this, I will just try to find it. Let me take a minute. This is my final notes about my Fami sweater. Fami. The name is actually the name my grandfather used for my grandmother on my mother's side, but he always called his mother Fami because she was farmor, or grandmother on the father's side, to his children. And then when they got their first grandchild, it was on my cousin, and then my grandmother on my maternal side, like mormor, she became farmor to my cousin. And then my grandfather started calling my grandmother Fami, farmor. And that just stuck. That was what he always called her. And yeah, so this type of sweater is a little bit like a grandpa sweater, like farfars tröja we say in Sweden. So instead of farfar, I thought about farmor, and when I think about farmor, I always think Fami. Yeah. Long story for a pretty simple thing, but I ended up with this. I ended up knitting this one. Let me just check. So this is recording. Yes. This is a cropped sweater. I have knitted this one in Ullcentrum Ölands 2-ply yarn, and it is really cropped. It has some short rows. It has some short rows in the back, so it shouldn't like rise up in the back, so you get a little bit of a sloppy back. And yeah, I intended the sleeves to be knitted, actually the raglan to be deeper, so the sleeve would be a little bit bigger. But when I did my Rota cardigan, I really liked the fit of those sleeves, so I actually ended up with more of a fitted sleeve for this one. Just a second. I should just grab the yarn. So this is the yarn. This is the yarn I used. I bought 6 skeins of this. In Stockholm, I only used like 2, a little bit more than 2.5 skeins for this one. This is knitted in 4mm needles, so it's quite of an open gauge. I don't know if you can see that. So it's not that, I mean, if you look at Rota, this is quite of a dense and tight gauge. I love that for this cardigan. But for this sweater, I wanted more like a drapey fabric, so yeah, I'm really happy about it. I love this color. It's a mix of Gotland wool and some other Swedish wool. Yeah, really, really like it. I am wearing it today with actually something else I made recently. This is a new linen dress. I made some pockets. This is like a sleeveless dress, the one I always make. This is my own pattern. I just have made so many of it right now, so I know what I am doing. So yes, it's still recording. So yeah, I like it. It's really long and gathered in the waist, and yeah, this is kind of my everyday outfit that I just love wearing. So I think we have gone through all the finished projects. I am gonna answer 2 questions that I actually got on Instagram lately. And one of them is that someone asked me what my knitting case is. And this is actually something I made myself. At my work we work with like really good quality leather for some of the things we do. This is a leather from Tärnsjöläder here in Sweden, so it's an organic what do you say? Yeah, it's an organic leather from Sweden, and I made this knitting case quite a long time ago. I use it all the time. So this is the case, and you can open it up, and this is how I store all my knitting needles. And in this little thing I used to hang my what are they called? Well, the little things you always have in your knitting. Stitch markers. That is what I usually hang in this one. And then you have the case. Like this, I store all my cords in here and some small needles. And the other question I got quite recently was, what needles do you use? I use like 99.5% of the time I use Xiaogu needles, the metal ones. I have 1 pair in the Xiaogu bamboo, and I use these ones when I knit with Plötelupi. I use this one for a shawl in Plötelupi, and I used these ones for another project I did. Well, yeah, mainly I use these if there is an unspun yarn, or yeah, but I only have these 5, so not at all a lot. But yeah, I mainly use the metal ones from Xiaogu. I also have most of the sizes in their mini sets, so these teeny tiny ones. The sizes I use the most, I have these ones in 2 with the little cord, because I always knit my sleeves in the round all the way down. That's my preferred method. I don't like magic loop. I do it if it's a needle size that is so rare for me, so I don't have the little ones. But if I can choose, I don't like to knit magic loop, so then I do that. I also have a couple of these, let's see, where do I have them? These teeny tiny sock needles, and these are great. I knit my socks on these. I haven't knitted socks in a while, but I really like them. I have quite small hands. I have no problem in like holding them like this and knit. And the only thing I find difficult to knit on this one is actually the heel flap. So for that I always knit my heel flap flat anyway, so I just transfer those onto a longer needle and knit that back and forth. And when I am starting to decrease and knit forward again, I just pick these up again and just knit. I love them. I know this is not a thing for everyone, but for me it works great. The way I hold my needles, I have no problem in the teeny tiny needles. And that was it, I think. Oh yeah, the person also asked me about, the person that asked about my needles also asked if I knit English or continental. I don't know what is what. I am not a thrower. I don't throw the yarn, I pick it up with my needles. So whatever that is what I do. I think that is the most common thing in Sweden to do. I have tried throwing. I think it's a good way to relax my wrists, to do a little bit of both when I'm purling a lot. So I can do the throwing thing. It slows me down quite a bit, but actually I think it's good to know both the ways to make stuff ergonomically okay. So yes, I only have one project on my needles, so yeah. And this is actually something that I am knitting back and forth, not sticking. So on the pearl rows I actually is throwing some of them, because I don't see a big difference in my gauge in throwing, because usually my pearl rows can be a little bit looser than my knitted rows, but when I'm throwing I tighten that up a bit, so it works great for me. This is my Christmas cast on. This is Valkyria cardigan. This is another pattern by my beautiful friend Anna. She is so talented, and this year has actually been a really fun year to follow her journey about being a person that puts out more patterns, and I love seeing that development in her designing that has come this year. I love all her patterns, and this is no exception. We have quite similar style in like clothing and aesthetics and everything, so maybe that's why I just love everything she do. And I really need more of these kind of basic, like Rota cardigan, and this one that I have on my needles right now. This is Valkyria cardigan, so this is gonna be a balloon sleeve, cropped sweater, and yeah, I am not the biggest fan of this computer right now because it has cut me out 2 times. But I'm just gonna tell you a little bit more about Valkyria, and then we can go on to some other things. But yeah, this is Valkyria cardigan by Sjösvärd. I don't know where it cut me out, so I would just keep on talking about this. But Valkyria, it's a new pattern. I cast it on Christmas Day, 24th here in Sweden. Is that Christmas Eve maybe? I don't know. But yeah, I knit mine in Plötelupi and let's see, Einband. This is the yarn combination I went for. I am not the biggest fan of mohair. I think I've only knitted like 1 sweater with mohair this year because I think it can be a little bit itchy actually. It works when I combine it with like a really rough wool, but yeah, this was a great combination for me and I really like it. I think this combination is something I will use later this year too, because I have some plans. But yeah, Plötelupi and Einband is a great combination for me. I have no problem with like Plötelupi or even Lättlupi to be itchy on my body, so yeah, if I'm looking down a lot, I am so sorry, but I'm really nervous that this is gonna turn itself off right now. So yeah, this is Valkyria. I love it. I'm gonna separate for the sleeves today. I am 2 rows from separating, so this will be ready for just knitting the body today. I knit mine on like 5.5mm needles, so this is quite a quick knit actually. So yeah, that was it. I only have that one on my needles. I have nothing else on my needles. I did cast on with Svensk ull for a new, I just want a big, cozy, oversized shawl to wrap around me, like an Outlander shawl, I think I called it on my Make 9. I didn't have a pattern for that, but didn't like the fabric. Maybe I chose the wrong needle size, but like this rough wool and a big triangle shawl that I can just wrap around me. probably like one color. I don't know, but yeah, a big chunky shawl to just wrap myself in this winter would be great. But yeah, what did I say? I did say that I did cast it on. It didn't feel 100% good, so I just ripped that out. So Valkyria is the only thing I have on my needles right now. But I have spent so much time with another craft the last couple of like 1.5 weeks or so. I bought a braid, like this type of braid, but in this color. This is the rust color of wool, and I bought this spindle when we were traveling through Sweden this year. We passed Umeå, and then I took a visit to Limmodesign. Lillemor, amazing person and an amazing store, and she is so inspiring, so highly recommend that if you're in the northern part of Sweden. But yeah, I bought that fiber, and let me just see, so this is recording, yes. I bought that fiber, and I bought this tiny spindle this summer, and I haven't started using it yet because I just didn't have the brain capacity. I didn't have the time to like do some research, and that is how I work. When diving into something new, like spinning, I do a ton of research. I love watching movies on YouTube and tutorials. I read books. I just love the history and the background in the craft I'm trying to do. So this Christmas break, me and my husband has been off with the kids for like 1.5 weeks, almost 2 weeks. So then I took my time to try the spindle. And this, oh my god, I love this so much. This is my first little skein of yarn, and I'm actually really happy about it. I didn't think this would turn out this great. It sounds like I'm bragging about it. I'm not. I'm just shocked because I didn't think so. But this is highly, like, if you should knit with this, I think it's like a little bit over twisted because it's kind of hard and firm. So this, I will save this anyway. I won't knit with it because it will have some sentimental value. I just put some tags on so I can see when, and yeah, this is my first skein. It's very special. And this is 2-ply. I just made this one on my spindle, applied it together. So this is Corriedale, the wool, and please don't ask me any spinning questions because I have no idea about what I'm doing or anything. So just bear with me. I am just diving into this and trying it out. This is how I learned to knit also. I just watched a lot of tutorials, and yeah, but this was so fun. I mean, this was so amazing. I was so relaxed when I sat with this teeny tiny spindle and this yarn, but when you like pulled the wool out, and I can describe how much I enjoyed that. And I really enjoy this little spindle. I bought this little one. Lillemor recommended this one to me because you can spin kind of thin, because this one, it doesn't weigh a lot, and it's not a big thing to like buy as your first like project to try to just like feel the wool or anything. And I am so happy about this teeny tiny skein. This is not a lot of yarn, but it really is something, and I love it. So I did this one, and then I continued. I had some wool from Ölands Ullcentrum, it's Swedish wool. I had some wool, just a little bit left, because I have used it when I have stuffed some animals. I don't have it here right now. But yeah, I just had a little bit left of that, so I made this from that. And I tried not to ply this as much as I did with the other one. And this one is so much more fluffy. I don't know if you can see that. So this is not as hard and tightly plied, and this wool was so much easier to spin for me. I know corriedale should be an easy fiber to spin because it's a really long hair, and this one was more like fluffy, and I don't have it here. I want to show you, but this one was more like fluffy, and yeah, but it was so much easier for me. But this one got really thick. So this is my second skein. I just wrote number 2, Ullcentrums Kardflor, and the date I did it. And this is not a lot of yarn either, but I mean, they are so precious and I love them so much. So when that was done, I had a lot of wool left from this one. This is all I have left right now. But I tried to make like this yarn again, but not plying it and not twisting it so hard, because I think this would be very hard to knit with, like firm. So I did another skein, and this is much looser in the twist. Let me see if I can do. Yeah, but this is more uneven. When I didn't twist it as hard, it was easier for this to be more. This one was just, this is not focusing. Yeah, you see here, it's more uneven, but I mean, I still like it. And this is so much more squishy. And this one, I actually think I'm gonna use, because one of the tips I got watching a YouTube video, who was it that said it, but they said like, it's really important to try to knit with the yarn you spin to understand basically if you're doing something wrong and what that is. If you're knitting with it, you can feel in your hands like, oh no, this was too loose because the fabric will get uneven, or this is too hard because it's too dense and it's very hurting on my hands. And yeah, I just thought that was a great tip to just try to use some of the wool you're spinning to see what you want to do different next time, because it doesn't work as you want. So this is the same wool, and it's very different in the skeins. So this I will not knit from this. This will be saved forever because it's just a sentimental value. But this one, I actually think I will make like a Sophie scarf or some other teeny tiny scarf just to wrap around my neck, just to figure out what I like and not like, and to actually use what I've done. So yeah, this is my third skein. So these ones, I mean, I love them so much. They are so precious to me, and it's so fun to be a beginner at something. And that is actually something I love, because then I don't. The thing is, I have always had quite high expectations on myself. I like being good at stuff. That's the way I am, and in some case of my life that has been really good, because that has got me through and made me continue and do stuff in a good way. And in some parts in my life, it's actually really hard to be that kind of person, because when you have high expectations on yourself, you're overdoing a lot of things because you want it to be perfect. But when you are a beginner, and this was the case in knitting too actually, I let myself enjoy the little flaws, if you say it like that, and that it's not perfect, because I don't have any expectations that it will be perfect. I know that's not something you should do with yourself, and I'm working on letting that go a bit, but that is just the way I am as a person. So for me, I mean, this little skein took a couple of days to do for me, and this is not a lot of wool, but I don't do very long. I don't drop the spindle. I just have it in my lap. I twist it and then I pause, I draw, and it's not a quick thing, but it's something that I really enjoyed, and I don't mind it taking time actually. So yeah, that is very fun. So I have some wool on my spindle right now. I don't know if you can see that. And this is actually unicorn fur, if you have seen my Instagram. But when I ordered some more wool, this is also from Limmodesign. This is a nature color, and this is a very beautiful brown one. And I think these ones just looks amazing together. But yeah, I ordered 2 of this one and 1 of this one, just to have some more wool at home. And when I ordered that, she sent me this beautiful and squishy, I think this is card flow. She is using like this big drum roll to make this kind of wool. So it's a lot of colors. And when I was there this summer, she actually talked about, I think the gray base of this is from sheep close to her store. And all the little bits and pieces in this, it's like wool she has left from other stuff. She just dyes up little scraps and then she just makes this beautiful wool out of it. This is not something I would choose for myself. Otherwise, this is maybe not my type of colors, but I actually really think when I spun it up, this little flexes almost turned. It's almost like a little bit of a tweedy effect. So this is what I'm working on right now. This is actually turning out really, really thin. I thought this wool was easier to get thin than my corriedale. And then I actually bought myself another spindle. This is a lot bigger, you can see here. But I realized that when you spin on this tiny bit and you fill this up, it's really hard to ply it on this one too, because there's just no room for it. So I bought this one to use for plying the yarn together. So you can make a 2-ply, you can even make a 3-ply, but 2-ply. So I am really hooked on this, and I would love to have a spinning wheel. And I don't know, sometimes when you just dive into stuff, yeah, it's quite expensive to just buy a spinning wheel and buy a new one, and what if I don't like it? So I popped a question out on Instagram, and actually the amazing woman that owns my local yarn store, she used to sell and have the Ashford spinning wheels in her store a couple of years ago. Now she don't, but she was the one I got my Ashford rigid heady loom from. So I just put a question out on Instagram if anyone had any tips about where you can find maybe a used wheel or something. And she texted me and said, you know what, I have an Ashford, I think it's the Kiwi 3, that she had bought and didn't use. It wasn't her like favorite wheel, I guess, and she didn't have the time to use that too. So she said that I could buy that if I want to. She hadn't used it that much, so it's almost brand new. And I'm actually going into her store on Monday. Today is Saturday, so on Monday I am going to Karlsson to try the wheel out, and I'm probably gonna buy the wheel from her. So this is a journey that I really, really love to dive in more to. And last year and this year, actually, on my making goals, 9 making goals for the year, I have put out that I want things to take like more time. And yeah, let's just say that this is a step in that direction, because this takes time. It takes a lot of time, but I enjoy the process so much. And I have actually not felt like this since I found knitting, because yes, I love to weave, but it's not something that I feel so relaxed about as I do my knitting. I can just dive into my knitting and then my thoughts, and I just relax. The weaving is a more, I have to concentrate more. It's warping. It's like, yeah, I love it, but it's not something I could do for like being really relaxed. And sewing is actually still something that I feel more, I do it because I want the clothes, but maybe it's not my top thing. And maybe that's because I sew at work now, so sitting by a sewing machine when I come home, it's not that satisfying that it was before. But hey, I love the result and I want the clothes, so I do it. But knitting has always been my main, like, relaxing, taking it easy, like almost meditative thing. But this one, it's, yeah, it's really close. I love it. I still need to concentrate more, but hey, I just love the feeling of just pulling the wool, see the spin go up, putting some more spin in. Oh, I just love the feeling of this. So yeah, I look forward to diving a little bit more into this as we are heading for a new year. So yeah, I think that was all I had to talk about. I mean, I have made a making goal for this year. I made this, let's see, yeah. I made this making of 2023 spread in my planner, or I mean, this is a bullet journal, but I don't use it like for planning my life. I don't book like appointments and stuff like that. I just use it for this type of like inspiration spreads, and I love it. So I have just made some guidelines for what I want this year, and then I made my Make 9, and it's very loosely, it's very loose in its guides. It's more like of a guide. I don't have like set patterns, and some of them are more like I want things to take time. I want to make stuff from my books. I want to try out knitting. I want a feral vest, but not what pattern, not what color, not anything. Just that would be a great thing for my wardrobe. So I don't want to press myself like by setting goals about certain things, but you can have intuitions and what you want this year to be like. I want it to be calm, and I would love for the world to get a little bit more peace this next couple of years. It's been a hard year for the world, for the environment, but personally, for my family and me, it's been a great 2022. I have had so much fun. We have done so many great things, but for the whole like bigger picture, maybe not the greatest year actually. So I look forward to a year with maybe a little bit more calm. Yeah, I hope to see you very soon again. I hope to get the time to record more often. I always say that. Let's see what happens. But for now, I just wish you the best start of